Hello, in this video, we will discuss about vitriols. You might have heard many chemicals that have the names involving vitriols. Most common would be blue vitriol, then comes green vitriol, and of course the oil of vitriol. So, the first question you might want to ask is, why are they called vitriols? Or in more general sense, what are vitriols? So, vitriol is a general name given to sulfates of certain metals, originally iron and copper. These materials were originally found as crystals formed by evaporation of groundwater that percolated through sulfide minerals and collected in pools on the floor of old mines. The word vitriol comes from the Latin word vitriolus, meaning small glass, as those crystals resemble pieces of colored glass. So that's why these chemicals are called vitriols. These vitriols were known for quite a long time, and earliest documentations exist as early as 23 AD. Now we can go through some of the most commonly known vitriols. The first one, of course, is blue vitriol. It is also known as vitriol of Cyprus or Roman vitriol. It is copper sulfate that is known as blue vitriol. But an important thing to note is that a copper sulfate crystal isn't always blue in color. The blue color comes only in the hydrated version of the copper sulfate. So if you are talking about blue vitriol, that is copper sulfate hydrated. That is CuSO4.5H2O. That is the blue vitriol. The anhydrous version of copper sulfate would be white in color. So it's an interesting thing that you always should keep in mind. The next most common vitriol is green vitriol. It is the iron sulfate which is known as green vitriol. And again, the name is quite obvious due to the color. And as previous case, again the hydrated version, that is FeSO4.7H2O, it is the thing that is known as green vitriol. Now we also have a red vitriol, which is the hydrated cobalt sulfate. The chemical formula is CuSO4.7H2O. Also, we have white vitriol, which would be hydrated zinc sulfate, and its chemical formula is ZnSO4.7H2O. There is also something known as black vitriol, but unlike the previous ones, it's not an exact chemical. It's a mixture of different sulfates, which includes copper, magnesium, iron, manganese, cobalt, and nickel. So it doesn't exactly have an exact chemical formula. It is a mixture of all of this, and of course the hydrated. Now, those are all the names we had with the color. With that, we conclude the vitriols which get the name from their color. Now we go to a different list of vitriols. We again start with the most famous, which is the oil of vitriol. On the beginning, we talked that vitriols were compounds that contain metal sulfates. In here, it is not a metallic substance. We have an acid. Oil of vitriol is sulfuric acid, which has the chemical formula of H2SO4. It is also known as spirit of vitriol. The sulfuric acid is known as the oil of vitriol because the European alchemists prepared it using the roasting of green vitriol. So since it comes from a vitriol, they kept the name as oil of vitriol. Oil because it looks like oil, because it is thick and clear and liquid like an oil. Next, we have vitriol of argile. Argile is French for clay, so it is also known as vitriol of clay. This is actually aluminium sulfate. It is also known as alum. It got its names because it is formed by the reaction of vitriolic acid, that is sulfuric acid, on clay. So that's how it got the name as vitriol of clay. Next, we have vitriol of Mars, which is ferric sulfate. Here, we already seen ferrous sulfate as green vitriol. Now, here it is the Fe3 plus ions, the ferric ions, which form the vitriol of Mars. The chemical formula Fe2SO4, the thrice. Although I tried to find how the name Vitriol of Mars came, I couldn't actually find it. But my guess would be because it has ferric ions and it is red in color, which are both similar to the surface of a Mars, which is both red in color and contains a lot of iron. Although the surface is mostly iron oxide, maybe that explains some reason why it is called Vitriol of Mars. If any of you have a better idea about the origin of the name, you can leave it in the comments. We already seen oil of vitriol. There is also something called sweet oil of vitriol. It is diethyl ether. And you can see that this is the first organic compound in the section. Everything else were sulfates. Here we already have a compound which doesn't even contain sulfate. You might guess that it is due to some kind of synthesis that involves sulfate, and you are right in that case. It is formed by the dehydration of ethanol in sulfuric acid. So since that the production process involves the sulfuric acid, it got the name of sweet oil of vitriol. Now, I also added a bonus fact for you. Vitriol is an word in English language which means bitterly harsh or caustic language or criticism. You can imagine that the corrosive nature of the most commonly known vitriol, that is sulfuric acid, would have something to do with that. So that is it for today. See you next time.